Hello everybody, Orphan here, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I was about to say, where's the audio? There it is. The audio didn't come in right away. That was weird. Where are we? Oh yes, everything went to hell last time. Whereas, where Lana said that, she, forged evidence out. Yeah. And everything went to hell because of that. So, everyone freaked out, and the court couldn't calm down. So, now we just got the last day of investigation, which, if I remember correctly, is going to be long. Very long. Anyways, I'm sorry for... Excuse me. I should clear my throat before starting this. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. You never hear about anything in these games, Phoenix. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. He tried to kill you. Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. Before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. Permanent picture. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up. You mean provided bogus evidence. The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, it's all my fault. If I could have testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though you may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why do you run all the way down to your sister's office? Because the detective offices in the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was a chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. At her Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? I'd better have another talk with her. I gotta talk with her and I gotta talk with Edgeworth. Lana, Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risk. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago. Now the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Tell us all. A lot of revelations were uncovered at trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen. I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall could be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said about you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true. I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? Then he was the vice head criminal affairs, but he still worked the crime scenes. Oh, that's Lana. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolized her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you could later use that experience in court. Gant's help in the SL9 case was critical in its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of detectives investigating Dark. Second in command. That means the chief detective was no doubt Damon Gant. Yes, Detective Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was a serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when the last murder took place, when he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Drake. Dark, whatever. Fuck. That. I can't. Wow, I messed things up so much. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Detective Gant and Prosecutor Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages when Dark must have panicked. He waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Detective Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So, you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana. It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies. Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and a suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seemed Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her, after all, her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident? That's right. Quite a coincidence. I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself, the chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office to decide the final SL9 murder. Then let's go there. February 24th. No one's here today. Not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking at what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where detectives are. But we proved in court that no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 on the day of the crime. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. Instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. To police department. February 24th. Oh. Howdy, Bambina. Mr. Marshall. I never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. Sarah. What? I don't know what that means. You never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go into the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why'd you do it? Why did prospectors head west? If ever there was a case, I need to know the truth about it with that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting the steak lumps today. No, you won't. Some was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade and the knife were not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does this mean? It means that a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. But the facts have been concealed with forged evidence. That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he, your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. Highest honor? You don't mean King of Prosecutors? Not that again. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SR9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as. That's right, it was the day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years had gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Chief Detective Damon Gant and second in command Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that deal. That case was the biggest step in both their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office. Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She'd never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentioned it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Excuse me. No more Officer Marshall. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. There must be everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Wow, you actually talked to us. With Chief Prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention her statement to the media tomorrow and tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, I'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just head across the hall to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to just go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything, Emma. You're right, you can't go in there, it's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. I won't be waiting for us at the Chief's office. That is one giant organ. That's a big organ. And it plays itself, apparently! The chief's office, silly. At least that's what's on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was a genius until they tried teaching me notes. Yeah, you're right. My ears. I can never remember where C was. Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading on his desk. So, Mr. Wright, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full, too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And on his provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence. 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neal, and me. So this Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neal Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. God, we actually get to hear more of the song now, jeez. Or not, it's just gonna go away now. Anyway, I like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm gonna walk up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, we'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. You sure you want to go with that organ? Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcome. It seems that case isn't over with yet after all. What do you mean? Chief can't deny a request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around there. You mean like a clue? There's gotta be a way we can get inside the chief's office. Well, for now, we need to check how Edgeworth is doing. So, to the High Prosecutor's office. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Whoops. That's oops. Well, I know where to go instead. Back inside the Criminal Affairs Department. Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe, were you in a meeting? I was, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long in the meeting? Actually, I had to serve everyone coffee. Ugh, sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out in the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Nope. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. Looks like the battle's between you two in court. That sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? And that's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. At least your music's here to cheer us up. God, I can't speak today. Why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Well, Sky is a guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence he presents in court. Not only that, but as you know, there's been a lot of rumors going around Mr. Edgeworth. Those who don't like him haven't been able to do anything because of his amazing talent as a prosecutor. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? Yeah, our world only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only have that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Yeah, jealousy. Hey, Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes, sir. You gotta take me back to the joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. Seems you don't have any problem with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Did you find out anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall who was trying to protect some girl? Me. See, Detective Gump, she never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Let's see. I think it has something to do with the murder weapon? Oh, I forgot again. Look, it's all in here somewhere, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon? Might jog his memory. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. A businessman? What made him take the serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So it was an accident? An accident, yes, but it transformed into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident? Then he killed a lady who saw a second crime. A kid walked by just then, so he killed him too. Then when he was burying the bodies, the jogger came upon the scene and was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems like he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. Turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim, Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but fortunately he was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. Last witness? He must mean Emma. That sounds ridiculous, but it's Ace Attorney. Ridiculousness is the whole thing. Here's the knife. Hey, don't tell me that! That's a tag tattoo with the label SL9 instant on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Gunn was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. It was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it! Now I remember what that incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. What was it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again! Murder weapon, yep. This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it at, and he had his fingerprints on it, too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife, you'll see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well, anyway. I guess the broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match to Dark's knife? You bet, down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. It's a great knife. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gann. It's not money, but it does concern the Chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The Chief's out now, and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, I need Detective's ID card to unlock the door. Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. Did it was the lead the day he died. In other words, Gumshoe is our only chance to get into that office. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. Well, I know we don't have that something. Hi, Lana. Edgeworth, are you in? There we go. If Edgeworth wasn't in, I was not sure what I would need to do if he wasn't in. Looks like he drank some. What are you doing here? He sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Ezra, I'm rooting for you. That's Edward for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. What I want is to see what you threw on the floor. Oh, he was right on the floor. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. You crazy Edward's sitting right there. Just distract him, I'll check it out. Yeah, hey Edward! Is that Detective Gumshoe on the window there? Oh no! He's falling to the ground! Hold on, first let me see what this girl's doing crawling around on my feet. He didn't even look. Letter of... As you can't read, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. Resignation? Edward, you don't mean... I'm tired, Mr. Wright. I feel as if something inside me has died. Mr. Edward, none of it is your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I can do to erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean that the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error, my responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuses I might have. Mr. Edgeworth, I take pride in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial and now this one. Seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? That list of evidence, it seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. You think? It's only half as long as most lists? That is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been a part of the investigation, but at the time there was only one thing on my mind. I'd used the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. We just saw a picture taken around that time. That picture. Something seems strange about it. That means I gotta present it. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The Detective Goodman was murdered. You were participating in a ceremony at the station, right? I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out in the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah, Chief Kent asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to. That's right. Well, I'm going to present this lovely picture. I see that fucking jar back there. I just realized that. I forgot it was there. I was focused on the other stuff. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Kent's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding. It's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was the official prosecutor trophy used until that time. There's a story behind it. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. The first means halberd, and the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Sure, everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though, for Emma's sake? Phoenix, sure you know it. Long ago, in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day, he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus, the Chinese word for contradiction was born. I see! So chipped shield and broken knife symbolized. Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion. Even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. That's funny. If that's so, then why weren't you only given a shield? You have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, we had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant, again, constantly. Anything else to present? Yeah, I actually would like that list of evidence. They say where there's smoke, there's fire. Apparently I was so caught up in the smoke, I lost sight of the truth. Edgeworth. The others are right. I have no right to serve as a prosecutor. Mr. Edgeworth, you only doing your job. I've always made my own decision about what I can and cannot do. That hasn't changed. Forgiving myself is something I cannot do. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. For the resignation. I wonder if I can use this idea. Wright, please. I'm the prosecutor on this case. You don't expect me to sit here and discuss the case with you over a cup of tea. I'll pass on tea. Just tell me about the case. What side are you on? I want that, evidence report. Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't seriously expect me to just sit down and chat with you about the case over a cup of tea. But this isn't related to the case, remember? You said so yourself. So I did. Chief Gant gave this to you that day, didn't he? He asked you to bring it here from the police department. The chief is a very competent man. But sometimes he does things that don't make any sense. At least it's better than being incompetent doing things that don't make sense. Some detective comes to mind. Maybe I'm not gonna get it till later. Oh! Hello, Miss Starr! Would either of you care for a quarter-pound of roast beef? Miss Starr, guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kinda like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from that case was due for transferal. This can't all be attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know, that little scene I happen to witness? The incident on a stamp took a good with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Stark's hatred toward Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though, must have been going through hell because of his brother's death. They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Lana Scott. My sister? The best of the best were put on that SL9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we're so shocked over how it turned out. You mean with the forging of the evidence. Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while the items were kept secret. But you didn't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us safe Goodman were relieved of our duties. Most without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana Scott transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Lana Scott was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used. Damon Gant and Lana Scott. 2 years ago, Gant was chief detective and Lana was second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism. By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. Incredible evidence, you mean? Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked and always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Starr. That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control, and then no one can stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. What? You mean, that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know. But one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she'd never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Starr. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. No, don't examine. No need to examine. I'm gonna examine that freaking nature blue badger over there. Gumshoe? Oh, you're back. You still here? I gotta make 150 copies of its files. Brewing coffee, copying files. You're a regular DJ. You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. I admire your persistency, but my answer's still no. I'm not letting you into the chief's office, period. It'd be my neck on the line. Oh, this is the last crime scene, the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. Gotta be something. Yes, I know. Yes, we know. Hey, did you know that church is tiny? What this crumpled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Oswald can't be serious. Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they pushed him this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. At first I thought he was as cold as ice. But now I know different. He trusts us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I made up my mind. But, here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out, they wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be good as terminated. So at least let me do this, for Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, Detective, thank you. So, let's go. February 24, Police Department Chief's Office, the last place we gotta investigate in this game. The last crime scene. Thanks, automatic organ! Open sesame. If anyone finds us now, Ted becomes use a corner. But I'm counting on you to bail me out. Eek! Ah! God damn it, Gumshoe. Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Detective Gumshoe, what are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, then what's up on you with your ID card? I want Gumshoe's ID card in the pocket. Hey, don't do that on my card! Back to the organ. I hardly ever had a chance to come in here, so I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I got a bad feeling about this. The desk on the other side of the room, was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana. On that day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk. No one except Chief Gant, cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think? Nah. You wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then, let's look around a bit more. Go on, not so fast, buddy. What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. Don't just let go with that. Sorry! That's starting to get on my nerves. What's bothering you? You don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? Yeah, Mr. Wright, what do we think of him? Chief Gant, so it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best if I don't divulge my feelings yet. There he goes, ignoring me again. Yeah, let's just search around here for blood. Oh, there we go. There it is. This area must have been covered in blood. Not from the incident. It must be. Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. 2 years have passed, so the reaction's kinda dull. So murder really did take place here. God, I'm surprised traces from 2 years ago can still be found. This is safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. It looks like code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. You want to try my birth date? It's... No. Chief Gant doesn't care about you, Gumshoe. Here goes none. Boom. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7! That's 7, 7. Bingo! What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 7777777. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number that mysterious executive officer entered that room that day. You mean 7777777? That ID number? I think you're 17 shy this time. It can only mean one thing. That's Chief Gant's ID number. Anyone care to look inside? Yeah, what's inside the safe? Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's a shard from a broken cup. This somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? There's something else in here too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wear a shirt like that once. And Chief made up the design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? Is this all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it. And a broken shard from a cup. Like piece of evidence. But unless you can prove it has something to do with the case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the Tesla 9 incident? Come on, there's gotta be something we can show, Detective. First, I want to keep looking around the room. This is a real deal, isn't it? This armor and those weapons? Sure is, pal. Chief doesn't care for imitations. First, the pipe organ, now this armor. You know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone in this room? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief could be hiding in his armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he never knew to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier. Yep. He put a thing in his desk. Gimme. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm like a child in a candy store. Just gimme, 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 gimme. This looks like a list of evidence used in a case. A list of evidence. In most cases, a list runs twice as long as this. Look at the case name. Huh? SL9 incident. I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, Detective. What did you just say? I said I wonder what... No, about evidence list. Normally they're twice as long? No, that's right, I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. Half-size list of evidence. A list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it! The chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. The chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally we hear him playing it from the criminal affairs department. That's on the 2nd floor and this is the 15th. When the detective screws up, the chief calls him to his office and makes him listen to the organ for hours. But something about that music soothes the soul. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except for the ringing in his ears. It's an instrument of punishment, literally. Aren't the chief's ears affected? He never listened to anyone anyway. That's beside the point. I don't know, look at that. I wonder what this is. It looks like someone drew some kind of sketch here. What is it? Did you find something? I can't make it out. I'd better keep quiet about it for now. No, it's nothing. Why are your eyes swimming about like that, Mr. Wright? I don't forget about this picture. Bum, bum, bum. This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and he tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. Then went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. You think? This is on his desk. It sure is tidy. No one's always been a meticulous cleaner. Not even any dust on it. Someone's still cleaning it clean. Does someone ever come back here? No. Chief Cam must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They're the stuff the legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred her to the prosecutor's office. Small picture frame on the left shelf. Hey! This is when Mama and I went to that theme park. Just left here? So, we have a jar. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? Oh, let's put that back together. Oh, those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. That was literally yesterday. Yesterday in game. Wasn't that jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right, one of the shards had an SO9 instant sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one that was in the safe? Yes, that one. That was in the safe. Yes, thank you. Honey Mushroom's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Do it. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. If I can piece this together and improve Chief Gamma's knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. Ta-da! There! It fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief can't willingly and knowingly hit a piece of this jar in the safe. In other words, he can steal a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece he just attached. It's different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line? That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gan hide this in his safe? Well, about the other thing with the fingerprints on it, I like to take them fingerprints. I'd like you to have a look at this. Oh, I know what that is. So you want to take some fingerprints. That's a great idea, Detective. Alright, go to town. Jeez. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprint. It's not your fingerprint you want to take? Come on, this isn't time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Jeez, where's your sense of humor? Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. I know how this works. You don't need to tell me how to do it again. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Thank you. Okay, there we go. And here we go. And I know exactly whose fingerprint this is because I played this game before. Because Emma was here on the day of the crime. How can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? It seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. That's too bad. I thought they'd be Dark's prints. Hey, you, over here. What's going on here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Well, was that any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. And that's not very nice, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Chief Gant! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. I was walking to my meeting. I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, and you in the coat? Me, sir? Drop off your ID on the way. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir... Now get out. Yes, sir. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait, you, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. But sir, I'm no licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky ear? You're free to go. Mr. Wright? Look, pal, if I told you one, I told you 1,000 times. Chief's office off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Cam was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. Hard to believe anyone could keep quiet about all this time. Anyway, you listening to me? I'm trying to smooth things over with Chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police want to ask her some questions. Oh, she'll be busy for the rest of the day. Yep. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing, not a single useful thing. It's bullshit. Really, I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. Who is it you're hiding behind those words? Me did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth. Once you convince you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now it's my chance to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth, it's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. One intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have been persuaded to use silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, who may I ask is this person you're speaking of? One I'm supposedly so frightened of. What is this person's name?
Take that!
Well, Miss Scott? Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about the circumstances? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective, assuming he is respectable, and tell me something. Why did he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, those are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that the chief can't name was never mentioned? Chief can't. Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly investigated evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case.
Take that!
The evidence list. I just found this in a safe in Chief Gant's office. This jar piece, and this strip of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces. I guess they all would have worked. These are evidence from the SL9 instead. The person concealing evidence none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised, I cannot disobey the Chief's orders. Even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate in the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders? Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find inside trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk was broken. I discovered that murder weapon when inspecting the body. The murder weapon. I mean Edgeworth's knife. No. When I found the body, this knife was the knife that was stuck in it. Knife from the S Online incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him. So I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That'd be Edward's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. That's the reason for the bandage on your right hand? Yes. It seems I got blood in the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. A star. Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't even want it to be open again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in Joe Dark's case. If word got out, which it would, reporters would have had a field day with it. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it, in Edward's exhaust pipe. Right, then I called my sister. To tell her what happened, and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone in the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. Bad feeling. The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Chief Marshall. Marshall? Why do you call him? Lead investigator for the S09 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. You mean, not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial, there's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I gotta get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murder? And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago? To be continued in the beginning of the final trial of the game, which I'm pretty sure will be split up into 2 parts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.